proudly presents It's All Love, Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Mountain Time, 6 p.m. Eastern, with Laura Mock, Maria Hartman, Wendy Ann, and Lara Brzezinski. It's All Love, a space where we open into the heart, tap into the soul's deep wisdom, and enter into the energy of love, truth, presence, and joy. It's All Love, Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Mountain Time, 6 p.m. Eastern.
Hello.
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 Welcome, everybody. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Maria. Do you want me to? Okay, so welcome to It's All Love. We are here, the two of us today, sending love to Wendy and Laura that need to be elsewhere today. So we are all about love and the frequency of love and the knowingness that is of love that has no opposites. And so we know that extensions of love, another way of saying that, is presence and truth. And all those things together bring immense joy into our lives and inner peace and wisdom. So we are a group of women that love to get together and chat about what this journey feels like and how we can relate back to everything as love, even the things that do not feel and look like it. It may be messy a little bit at first. And so we believe deeply that everyone that listens, everyone out there has deep inner soul wisdom. And it's about supporting one another and tapping into that. It's truly a gift to be here with my girls and anyone that's listening. And we're going to just dive in because the first thing we honor is a meditation at the beginning, a centering meditation to go deep within ourselves and just really bring into the presence love and truth. And again, being here right now. So unless there's anything else, Maria, that I have forgotten, we're going to just dive right in. And so we invite you to center with us. And I know that some people meditation, sometimes it's walking and movement meditation, and sometimes it's just quieting the mind. And so if you've never experienced a guided meditation before, we're going to see what comes out today, what the intention is for us and everyone else. And then you also may have some insights with yourself as well. So we're going to just take a few moments to bring, as Eckhart Tolle talks about, the power of presence is within ourselves. And so I invite you to just be for just a moment and just take some deep breaths. And take a few moments to recognize that you are here right now. As strange as that may sound, a lot of times our energy gets pulled here, there, and everywhere. And so right now we are gathering our energy, all the places we have outsourced ourselves. Today, yesterday, 5 minutes ago. You may be already thinking about the future. So right now, all of those places where your energy has outsourced, and maybe you didn't feel powerful in that, we want to bring it back into your body. Your body's a sacred temple that houses you, your soul's wisdom. It's this big and beautiful energy source that is here just for you to experience this world. And so as you're breathing in, imagine just bringing everything in with like buckets of love back to you and to your heart. And as you begin to feel your body alive, and maybe it was already there, but if not, bringing all this energy back, maybe focusing on your heart center, and again, feeling that aliveness inside of you. And just breathing this in. And now we want to offer, when we give from a place of wholeness and presence and being in our body of truth and love, it does not feel like our energy has leaked. It does not feel like we have outsourced ourselves and we're drained. Giving from a place of wholeness is being in the body and allowing it to vibrate outwardly, but not giving anything away, just joining and being in wholeness. And so anytime that you may feel you're not in that wholeness, take a moment and pause. Laura is so great about talking about that. Pausing and bringing your breath back into your body and reminding yourself that you are here right now and this is where your power is, and bring it closer to you. And let that feeling soak deep inside through the breath, through the awareness. And then after the pause, you can be in the space that you're in, and you can even tell yourself, acknowledge and give yourself the directive: I am whole, and I offer experiences from a place of wholeness. I first support myself, and then from supporting myself from a place of wholeness, I can give back, but I'm not giving away. I can offer from a place of wholeness, but I do not have to give away my wholeness to help other people feel whole. So take a few more moments to be here right now and celebrate that you are here, that you are love, you are truth, you are present, and allow the feeling of joy to run through your body. And with great honor and gratitude, we know it is so, and so it is. So taking some deep breaths and back into the room. That was interesting. I don't think I've ever done that meditation before like that.
Well, I loved it so much, actually. It reminded me of sometimes when I do energy work with people, we start with a meditation, a brief meditation. And for people who are just starting out with meditation, it is sometimes like they believe it's a little tricky, but it could be as simple as something, a version of what you did. And
Yeah.
what I visualize is like you as the sun, right? And every thought and action, and mostly thoughts, but every time you send a thought out to something, it's like a ray of sunlight goes out, right? A ray of sunlight, ray of sunlight, ray of sunlight, until you're this big, beautiful sun. But then at the end of the day, you pull all that back into center. And that's what your meditation reminded me of, was just
I
that
love that.
that simple visual of pulling it all. Like, it's okay that all these thoughts and everything came out of you and spread out of you, but at the end of the day, pulling them all back into that, just that round sun, that round full sun
Yeah, I
that
agree.
paints the sky, but doesn't have the rays spraying out anymore.
Exactly. So I need to pause for 1 minute because I recognized a little that my battery's dying and I thought I plugged it in. So everyone stay right where you are. Maria will entertain you with her beautiful smiles. Find out what happened to I'm going to find out what happened to my battery, and I am just double checking a few things, and I will be right back with you. I love live TV or live podcasting. So wait just 1 minute, everyone.
Oh my goodness.
Keep smiling, Maria. You're just precious.
I'll just sit here and smile.
Let Maria's ray of sunshine
Well, see, now I am smiling, but it's not because I was told to just sit here and smile.
Okay.
Direct me. Boy, that glare is awful, but I can't see you if I do. How's it
Okay.
going? You back?
I'm back. All right, it's working now.
Is it plugged in? Everything good?
Let's get back. Let's get back to the
Yeah,
sunshine.
pull all those
Okay.
rays back in, right?
Take a moment and bring it all back in. So, you had something really beautiful that you were talking about before we started live. Do you
Yeah,
want to read that? Because I'm trying. I feel like it's all connected to
well,
what you're
and
saying about energy.
the whole thing is good. So I was out of town for the weekend, and I'm kind of backtracking in my book. I have a book that I just read a page every morning. Each day has its own page.
Oh yeah, share the book.
Everyday Spirit by Mary Davis, and it's just beautiful, and it's a wonderful way to start your day. But not today's, yesterday's was titled "Awakening Together." We are
Mhm.
one with the light of each other and one with the light of love. And I thought, oh, how perfect is that? Because I read that this morning thinking we were having I was like, oh, it's perfect timing for
Right,
our
right.
podcast tonight, but it was yesterday's. But anyway, it says, when the earth turns away from the sun, we don't fear that the light has been extinguished. We know the sun is there. We just can't see it. In the same way, we can trust that the light of the soul cannot be extinguished. It's always there, always brilliant, and always connected to the light of divine love and all other beings.
Mm.
Together, we are travelers on the road to awakening. Every day, we discover ways of connecting with and giving rise to our eternal soul. As we progress, we begin to see that we are much bigger than we thought we were, recognizing our divinity as an integral part of our being. This recognition of the soul self is the awakening. And there's more, but I thought that was just so incredibly powerful. It's like when we just that moment of remembering that
Mm.
is the start. It is the awakening. It's that first breath. It's that first opening of your eyes. And then
And
from there, everything else seems to start to unfold. It's just,
how would you describe it's that? What is that for you? Like, what is that? What is the that? What is the remembering? What is, because I have my own theories about that or my
okay.
own
Well,
experience. But what is
Let's see if they
what is
can.
the what is the that for you?
Let me put this aside. But for me, the remembering is the true understanding that first and foremost and at the core of us is our soul. And that is the biggest part of us. The biggest, most, I'd hesitate to say the most important part of us, because this life is very important. You know, the lessons that we learn, the love that we give and share, and all that is really important. But I believe that the soul itself, me as soul, is the remembering. That's the remembering. That's the awakening. Because
And it,
once you truly know that and remember that and understand that, then every other part of your life begins to fall into place and the perspective changes.
so it sounds like to me we talk a lot how it would be impossible not to talk about it's all love and the frequencies of what we're talking about without the self-worth piece, right? Everything goes back to self-worth. We say that all the time. So when you're remembering that everyone listening, everyone's going to listen, everyone but you look in the mirror and be like, you are a divine soul.
Mm.
You are like that. If you really can begin to fathom that, how could you ever see yourself? How could you ever see yourself not worthy
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
and that's to me that's what I thought that to me that is the awakening, that is the beginning of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, I don't know about you, well, I kind of do know a little bit about you because I know, but that's my way of pulling it out of you. Like for me, um the there was probably I think it can be subtle sometimes. For me, there was like this big like aha of like, oh, this is like I, I am worthy. Like I am a soul. Like, oh, how can I if I do believe in the idea that everyone is a soul, has this soul energy and is expressing it through a body, then why am I so hard on myself? Like why, you know, and I had to kind of have these two competing ideas for a while. And then I finally was like, well, I do believe this other thing. So now I'm going to have to believe this about me too. And so it was like kind of a big aha for me at different times, depending on things. There was a big aha, and I do believe it. Doesn't mean that I don't have moments, even still to this day, that I'm like, you know, a trigger comes up, and then I'm like, some old habits or some old patterns or whatever it's coming from.
Yeah.
Bleed through, and that's just another layer of something. But yeah, I'm curious about you though. Do you have a memory of when that kind of hit you?
I think that's a tricky question because I was raised in a church, and the belief was that everybody has a soul.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of I don't want to get really into religion necessarily on this podcast.
Right.
But I am very grateful for the church that I grew up in and for the lessons that I learned through that and the closeness that it brought me to source, to God, to the divine.
Right.
But I feel like a lot of people struggle in that, yes, you have this, you're taught that you have this eternal soul, and yet the biggest focus sometimes is on the sin and the sinner. And
Right.
so it's almost like they're at odds. So, but what I believe now is very different than what I was taught growing up. And so while I do believe that we're all doing the best, that I guess I'm to a place now where I think that everybody is doing the best with what they've got and what they know in that moment.
Right.
And everybody has room to grow and to change and to remember, the potential to remember. And
Right.
so I focus less on the potential to do wrong and to sin, and more on the potential to do good and to love and to share love and to spread love and to find ways to align with that perfection that's within.
Yeah.
And then there's that other piece of me that hesitates to say perfection within, right? So I mean, it's such a it's hard to describe.
Well, because I think, like, you know, it's interesting to ask people, like, if those of you listening are listening later, like, define perfection? You know, I ask myself or anyone that I encounter in these types of realms, like, well, what is perfection to you? How would you define that? And I think a lot of times there is like the egoic way of defining perfection versus like when you were talking about the sunlight, it's perfect. Just because you don't see it, does that make it less perfect in those moments where you don't see it or you don't feel the rays, or does it, you know, like, no, you know, the metaphor of like if you're not feeling at your best, or you said or did something, you know, but it's a whole semantic, like it's a very tricky word. So I do think that ego gets in there and defines it differently than what I believe the pureness of what it really is.
Yeah.
So,
You said it actually perfectly, and that's what was in
did I
that
say it
book.
perfectly? Go ahead. Sorry.
You did. Yeah, but it's exactly what that passage started out with. When the sun isn't there, we don't doubt that the sun is there
Right.
somewhere.
Well,
Just
you would never
we're
say
not experiencing the light in that moment doesn't mean that we don't think the light exists. And so just like that, just because there are days or moments in our lives where others aren't experiencing our light, we're not experiencing our own light, doesn't mean that it's gone. Doesn't mean it's not.
right.
Maybe that's the big remembering. Maybe that's what it is. is remembering that it's there all the time,
Yeah.
even when we don't feel it. As you said, just because you're not feeling the warmth of the sun doesn't mean that the rays aren't shining somewhere else.
It doesn't mean you're not there.
Yeah.
That's where, I think it was, I'm sure this has been in many books. I know this was it was in one of the earlier passages that I remember that stood out for me. And it was like, just, like, again, if it's a cloudy sky,
Mm-hmm.
we know, when you get to a certain age, maybe little people don't realize it as much, but, when the sun is out there, it's just the clouds are blocking it right now, but it's there.
Yeah.
Or, like at night, it's on the other side of it. So we're so confident about that. So, we make things more complex than, and it's been given to us. The complexity has been given to us. But isn't that interesting? If we don't doubt that, why do we doubt ourselves?
Yeah.
So,
well, and I think that people are taught to doubt themselves by other people who have been taught to doubt themselves.
right.
By other people who have been taught to doubt themselves.
And you and I
forever and ever and ever and so on.
Yeah, and you and I personally talked about that a lot. You know what I mean? Like what it feels like to have, and we don't have to, even though I don't think they're going to be watching anything right now but the mother figures in our life, I should say, wonderful, beautiful women that, struggle with self-worth and for good, and again, life circumstances, understandably why,
right?
But how that impacts, how that generationally impacts everyone. So I think I think we're just screaming for a change. We're screaming for just the suffering. We don't have to suffer under this anymore.
Yeah.
And I think younger people are coming in with that same feeling. We don't have to suffer like this anymore. But they're screaming out in a way that doesn't look so obvious. They're screaming out in ways that look very painful, that are very painful. They're wanting something different.
Yeah, I think there's so much hope in that, because I feel like I didn't start really making these shifts until I did along the way, I guess, little baby steps. And it was like I took maybe 20 years of baby steps. And then all of a sudden, I started taking these big steps in my life and having these big ahas and these big understandings and awarenesses. And I feel like there are so many young people, like in their 20s, early 20s, late teens, that are having those understandings really early. Like now, in that early stage. How amazing is that? And I know it's painful because I did 20 years of painful, but and
thank you.
I'm so bad at that. Oh,
just for anyone that may listen, I'm the and person, but yeah,
go ahead. Good at ands. She's so good at ands, and I'm trying to be better.
I used to not be.
Everything always growth, always growth. Yeah, but it's just that I feel like it gives me so much hope that I can sit here and watch this younger generation, a couple generations behind me now, that's starting to feel those growing pains, or has been, and are trying to do something about it now, in their 20s, and having those realizations and those ahas and that discomfort leading to change. And when they have so much more of their life ahead of them, I think that's a beautiful thing. And I know that there are times when it feels really painful for everybody, but it gives me so much hope.
Hope. Speaking of that, I want to take that and move it, and I'm curious what you think about something, and then we'll see where we are. But kind of, well, not kind of, definitely on those same lines. I don't know about anyone out there, but sometimes when you're taking a shower, you just have some really good deep thoughts, right? Like the water is rushing over and you have some deep thoughts. speaking of the young generation saying in their own way, saying no to all the suffering and buying into these belief systems that are very old and keep people stuck in a lesser than mindset.
Mm-hmm.
The thought I was having randomly this morning was like, okay, let me back up and say that I will, when it comes to being educated, I know I grew up with the idea of like, this person's very educated.
Mm-hmm.
This person maybe didn't graduate high school, or this person, it was all about education. And I guess at one point, and I very humbly think about this generationally speaking, knowing that my parents grew up, my father was born in the middle of the Great Depression. My mother was 10 years, 9 years past that, but the effects of that were still going on.
Mm-hmm.
And, the idea was, let's get out and get better paying jobs. And the way to do that is to get this degree. And and I'm
Right.
not saying anti that at all. And the idea of, but when we think about educated, some of the most talented, extraordinary, moving people that I grew up around or have known, I don't think they went to college. Some of them I'm thinking about, or do not have a fancy degree, but the wisdom and the knowledge, and they know how to work the land. They knew how to take a little tiny seed and, even in the most difficult circumstances, grow food.
Yeah.
I mean, it's extraordinary. I know this man that literally was like an animal whisperer, and he understood animals. He was a naturalist and with animals and the nature. And he learned that from being on the land. And he did not learn that in a class. Not that I don't think you can. And I'm sitting here before you with, I have some degrees from Emerson Theological, right? So I have these degrees.
Mm-hmm.
But the degrees don't mean like I have degrees. It's just, to me, it's where I spent my time and focus.
Yeah.
But the idea with this young generation, I'm seeing more and more and more and more, is like, a lot of really great educated people have also abused power,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
and under the guise that they're more educated, they're smarter, and under the idea that they're better than.
Right.
Right. And needing to, not everyone, of course, but it's just like, I kept thinking like education. What is the deal with it? Isn't it more about empowerment and how you choose to find empowerment?
Yeah.
Versus, and if you find empowerment through, you can't wait to learn more about biology, and it happens to come with a degree at the end, but the passion is there and you want to learn more and you want to go work in this lab. But you know what I mean? Like, it feels like we're seeing a huge rebellion, or maybe it's just the people I'm around, against that as well.
Right.
Even though I would never trade it's not anti post education or not in a formal sense, but it's how we see it.
Right.
And I feel like it brings out so much anxiety in young people right now.
I think people are trying. And I only say that because I look at the schools that are around us, and there are schools that are offering, like, graduating from high school with a degree in a
Right.
trade,
Yeah.
like welding or
Yeah.
EMS or whatever it might be, but they're trying.
Right.
That being said, it's so ingrained in us, and I do understand where it came from, to get the degrees, to get an education so that you can get a better job. I mean, those were all the thoughts that are ingrained in us, right? And then you look at some of the, even filling out paperwork, which I don't have to do for the first time this year, at the beginning of every school year, what's your parents' highest degree of education? Like, there is still a value placed on it on paper for some reason, even though we know that there are occupations out there that I don't know how to do, and I rely on people learning how to do those. Absolutely.
Right.
All of us do. All of us rely on somebody who may have less education than I do, or you do, or whatever.
Less
Less
education sense that of what the
institution.
societal, yeah, the institutional idea of education.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, to me, it's like when I think about spirituality and it's all love, and I think about the youth and like self-worth and
Yeah.
all of this, the frequencies of this, to me, it's all directly connected to, like when we were talking about how we see the word perfection, like how you define that. Do you find that from the ego sense, or do you find that from like wholeness?
Yeah.
And education to me is the same thing. Like, what do you mean? Where do we kind of lost, maybe for desperate reasons and understandable reasons, but what the real meaning of education is,
Yeah.
and I think there's just so much pressure now, that I'm like, I just like opening up the conversation in the spiritual sense of like how powerful it can be to recognize and how we treat each other. And I have a client that is finishing a certification in a certain trade right now. And when he explains to me his classes, I mean, way over my head. Like, I don't understand. It's electrical. So I'm like, oh my God, you're giving me a head. But this kid who will have a 2-year certification, I think it's an associate's degree maybe is. I don't even know if it's officially that. I think they maybe just be qualifying as a certification. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But like, I know initially he was like, I feel like I'm going to be less accomplished because I don't have this 4-year degree, or I don't have, like, I'm going to be seen as lesser than.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some truth in that in our society. But how powerful it can be to take education and empower it to be from your soul's wisdom, from your craving of loving, learning, and growing and expanding, versus it has to be a certain way. And we're, I don't know. And maybe that was a crazy tangent to go off of, but it's just something to think about, like for yourself, and if you have children, and just society as a whole, and looking at kids that are going through a lot of anxiety, depression. And it's like there's just a lot of pressure for them to find all these answers. And right now, isn't it just exploring and finding what you love, and
Yeah.
versus having to feel like you have to hold a certain hierarchical. I don't know. I just think it's just something.
Is it possible? I guess we're kind of in this stage right now where it's painful, I think, for the people who are right in it right now, because we're on the cusp potentially for some big change, for some big changes. And, as you were speaking, I was thinking about my grandfather who, I don't think he had above a 5th grade education. He went to war when he was 12, for the first time, or whatever it might have been.
Did you say that again? He went to war when he was 12?
Yeah, when he stopped it.
This was in Greece?
In Greece, yeah. I think he lied about his age. I think because I found his papers. I mean, he looks like a 12-year-old, so I don't know.
Right.
I guess they didn't care that much. But to be in a room with him the rest of his life, the amount of joy and love that he exuded, that's what people felt. That's what people remembered about him. And it almost didn't even matter. He wasn't educated further than 5th grade, but he became a Marine. He went to multiple wars. He was a custodian when he moved to the States. People just loved him because he gave from his heart. He learned English, so yes, he didn't go past 5th grade, but he learned English in his 40s,
In his 40s, where they say it's the hardest time to learn.
Right. I mean, he wasn't, crazy fluent or anything, but he was fluent enough to be able to have a job, and for people to get to know him and to care about them, and so you look, I guess there's a part of me that says, well, how much is the education really worth in the end?
Right.
And that's a bigger question, because I also understand that in order to live in our society today, which is what these kids are struggling with, the kids who are coming up right now,
Mhm.
is it is expensive. Rent is
It's
ridiculous.
I know.
So how do we bridge that gap? How do we bridge the gap from understanding that maybe a 4-year degree in business isn't for everybody? Maybe some people do need to follow their interests, maybe everybody. But what if some people are following their heart's interests? If that kid can go and do his electrician, I'm guessing he's wanting to become an electrician, which is an amazing career, or has the potential to be an amazing career, but not a 4-year, it doesn't have to be a 4-year degree either.
Right.
So if that's what speaks to him and he is interested in and loves, who cares if it's a 4-year degree?
Well, and that's kind of the point when you think about, like, when we think about things from a spiritual realm, in expanded consciousness, expanded awareness,
Mm-hmm.
and I've I've definitely been on the other end of conversations with you. And I were at a nature-based charter school. That's where we first met, and so we were already a little outside the box anyway with
Yeah.
how we were seeing education. And but I very much, understand the other argument, like, we need to make sure, and maybe for the soul's journey, yes, you need to make sure you've got this thing, and then you can make this figure, and that may be
Right.
what your soul's journey is about right now in
Yeah.
this lifetime, if those of you, believe in that type of ideology, philosophy. And
Mhm.
like, can you imagine when if we're a soul, if we are a soul having a human experience, and there is all, if we're truly one, like if everything is all love, which is also implying that everything is one, everything is whole. Sometimes we may not always feel it or see it, but if you believe in that ideology that we're all one and we're all whole,
Mhm.
then within your soul, you're connected to all of those things. And therefore, in your soul, there's all this wisdom, there's all this knowledge, there's all this knowingness, there's all this curiosity, there's more and more. And so tapping into that and coming from a place of internal connecting inside, which I feel like these kids are screaming for and being our teachers for too,
Yeah.
then when that comes out, that kid be like, I want to be a doctor. And yes, you need to go to med school for that. Let do that.
Please.
And it may not, but when someone is in their authentic joy, in their authentic power, when
Mhm.
they're in their authentic knowingness,
Yeah.
truly authentic, if we really believe in these spiritual laws, how could it not be giving and receive? How could you not be taken care of, so to speak? How
Yeah.
would it not be supplied? How, if you're being your authentic self and enjoy like your grandfather, like how things, the pathway will show itself. Your first step is your authentic power,
Mhm.
your authentic self, like Gary Zukav talks about all the time. So to me, that's where I'm looking at education from that perspective of, and it starts with self-worth. It starts with, it's everything we've been talking about.
Yeah.
But anyway, just something that, like, how could it not be like that? And if there's the naysayers, I think that's important. I think questioning things are important. And if you're buying into this wholeness and oneness, and it truly is all love, then there's not going to be a divine explanation other than that.
Yeah.
There can be a human fear and human lack and human all this other stuff,
Mhm.
which is part of the journey, but there is a but to me for that when it comes to
Whoa.
the law.
Wow. Wow.
If you believe in the spiritual law, then how could it be anything other?
Yes.
I know. It sounds idealistic, but is it?
I don't know. I don't know. And I you know, I maybe I messed up my algorithm in clicking on articles and reading things. I know I did because
What do you
for
mean?
some
The
reason
algorithm?
I have seen multiple articles now. You know, we went through a few years where people are constantly talking about work-life balance, right?
Yes. Yes.
Um, and so I've read a couple of articles where heads of companies like Google or
Hmm.
whatever are saying, no, you can't have a 40-hour work week. It has to be like at least a 60-hour work week to be successful. And then that brings me to I don't believe that. I don't
I
believe
really don't believe that.
I don't
Yeah.
believe that because I also think that I believe that those people who have that much of an imbalance, unless what you're doing is what you love and like,
Oh, yeah.
you know what I mean? And maybe that
Yeah.
is their love of
Right.
their life. You know,
But I
then maybe
think for
that
the
is
sake
where
of
they
this
find
conversation, you're talking about where it's not that. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Right. And if you listen to, other people where there have been so many articles, so many interviews, so many people have recorded at the end of people's lives when they look back and say, the highs and the lows,
Hmm.
what matters and what didn't matter. What
Yeah.
mattered were those relationships that you made along the way. What
Right.
didn't matter was an 80-hour work week.
Right.
And so I guess, but I think we're just in that period of flux right now where maybe all the sides, maybe all the
Hmm.
black and white is showing up so significantly because we need to do because it's an opportunity to do something different.
Yeah. And again, I think, the younger, like we were talking about, the younger generation are screaming for it,
Yeah.
are begging for it.
Mhm.
I don't know about you, but I remember, like my mom, um, spending hours and hours ironing clothes.
Mhm. Not me, my mom, yes.
Yeah, I know, not you. And I don't think you're wrinkly. I'm just being honest. I don't. But I remember, and again, I maybe dry cleaners probably did exist in the little country town I grew up in,
Mhm.
but I also it's an expense that you don't. But again, and there weren't wrinkle, and I get it, there weren't wrinkle free. Sure, but the
Right.
amount of hours that she spent over that, and then part of me is like, well, was it also meditation for her? You
Right.
know, but it's like I remember watching as a kid, thinking, I don't want to do that.
Mhm.
I don't enjoy that. I don't want to do that. But again, I'm always surprised. Like I don't know what I don't know, but I just think there's a lot of opportunity to make decisions, and I think it's healthy to question things. And
Mhm.
I think it's again when we get into the spiritual realm of presence and truth and love and joy, what does it mean to be in those frequencies? And sometimes when there's going to be things that come into those comes that we're noticing from the outside that's like, well, is this aligning to where I want to be right now? So
Mhm.
I don't know, it's just a very interesting thing to think about. And I
Maybe
know
it
it's
just
a good
comes
term.
down to knowing yourself and honoring yourself. Because as I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, well, maybe I misspoke. Because, because if
What do you
I were
mean?
to spend 60 hours a week doing something that I really was passionate about and
Right.
loved, I wouldn't care that I was doing it for 60 hours. Like it would be
And
enjoyable.
but it wouldn't, yeah, it
Maybe
would not
I'm being judgmental of that,
yeah, it
head
would
of
not
Google who is saying you have to have at least 60 hours a week to be successful.
well, but I would ask that question. I was like, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? For me, 60 hours doing something that eventually feels very arduous is not that's going to eventually wear me. Well, let's put it this way. I've done that.
Yeah, same. Me too. Me too. And I started having health problems, and
I've done that. I loved 80% of what I did. I really loved it and was a big part of my passion involved children, and I loved it.
Yeah.
I didn't love 100% of it because there's just other parts of it, and that's just the way that job career was. But it required, I would say, more than 60 hours. It was not healthy for me. I needed balance. So, I needed harmony, and I wasn't in harmony at the time. I was in that situation, and I agree. I don't think we cannot say anything across the board for the situations that you're referring to in the life that I'm talking about. I believe there was a self-worth component for me overworking and accepting a job that frankly required it. And I 100% know there was a self-worth component to it. And I learned a lot from it. But it definitely had a toll. But it had a toll that the only way I was going to wake up is from that. But anyway, it did not work for me. But it gave me some great insights on where is my value for myself? Where am I placing it? Why do I feel like I have to do all these things for very little money to prove that I'm worthy and to is that what's going on here? And I don't think I realized it was until close to the end. So, but anyway.
Well, that brings us right back to the start where it said that passage said, what did it say about the awakening?
Why don't we end with that? Why don't we end with your passage? Why don't you read it one more time?
Okay. Awakening.
Again, hold up the book just in case people are just joining it. Hold up the book.
The book, Everyday Spirit by Mary Davis.
And we need to give Meredith Luber a shout out because
Meredith. This was for my 50th birthday, a 50th birthday present. And I have gifted it 10 times since.
Yeah.
A day book of wisdom, joy, and peace. And it is all those things. So October 28th, awakening together. We are one with the light of each other and one with the light of love. When the earth turns away from the sun, we don't fear that the light has been extinguished. We know the sun is there. We just can't see it. In the same way, we can trust that the light of the soul cannot be extinguished. It's always there, always brilliant, and always connected to the light of divine love and all other beings. Together, we are travelers on the road to awakening. Every day, we discover ways of connecting with and giving rise to our eternal soul. As we progress, we begin to see that we are much bigger than we thought we were, recognizing our divinity as an integral part of our being. This recognition of the soul self is the awakening. We see that we have the light of the divine within us. It's always there, even when our smaller selves are hard at work keeping the dark of night in place. We are waking up to this knowledge together. We know that we are eternal beings in finite human form. We know that we are made of the light and that this light is a common aspect of all beings. We know we are one with the light of each other. We know we are one with the light of divine love. Darkness is the absence of light, so the real work is to relentlessly shine the light of our love in all the dark places where it is needed. Eckhart Tolle says in this way, you cannot fight against the ego and win, just as you cannot fight against darkness. The light of consciousness is all that is necessary. You are that light. As we walk together in this global awakening, we will tip the scales toward a lasting good by the light of our spirits. We will stand strong in the light of love. We will shine on and shine brightly. I hadn't even read that whole thing today yet, so that was nice.
So what if we may end a little bit early? So what if we end with just the closing of if those of you that are out there, maybe you're just in the ether and you're feeling this, you may listen to it later. If just for a moment, and we questioned a lot of things today and just talked about like hierarchy and what does perfection mean? What does educated mean? What are those? What is authentic power within this? And it doesn't mean we always have all the quote unquote answers, but it's just the willingness to recognize ourselves as love, as light, as a soul having a human experience. And so what if, and I've been told this can be hard sometimes for people. I know at one point it probably was very difficult for me to do as well, and we've probably repeated it many times on this podcast, but go in and look in the mirror and really look at yourself, and look at yourself where you're no longer looking at what you consider flaws, what you consider not perfect, and keep looking. And maybe it takes several times to look in the mirror and do this. I feel like this is almost like a Louise Hay thing, even
Yeah, I
though
was thinking that.
a version of that.
Yeah.
And just keep looking and keep looking beyond what you've been told is your limitations or whatever. Your body is a limit. And then keep looking until you see something loving looking back at you.
Mm.
And recognizing you really are that. That energy is not caring what you did or did not do. It's not caring how much money you make, how what you drive, or your titles or that you have or do not have. It doesn't care some of the what you would consider big mistakes you made when you were a teenager or last week. It doesn't care in a way that, and I am going to say this, that I believe that some traditional belief systems would tell you otherwise. I understand. I think that's a big confusion of things. But I'm saying, we're saying, and I think we have a lot of spiritual teachers and belief systems that say the same thing. It's like, there's then something in the sky keeping track of all your mistakes.
Yeah.
What if the only thing that they're noticing is just the light in your eyes? What if it is the light that is also their light, the God, the divine source? What if that's what it's noticing? And have you ever imagined, like, what if the only thing it resonates with is love, frequency of love? So then every time you smile at a stranger, oh, that's noted. Or every time you pet your cat, or and there's just that, or you receive a hug or you give a hug. I mean, we're not talking about giving millions of dollars, which I think is also wonderful. If you have it, give it. But we're talking about the simple things. What if those are the things that really are resonating? And there's so much more than I think people realize about themselves.
Yeah. We've talked about that so much. I think that's the big thing, is that, when we love ourselves, when we see that light in ourselves, we're able to finally see it clearly in others. Not the masks of it, not the judgments of it, and somebody else fulfilling our ideals, but we're actually able to see through that and see that light. And then every act of kindness, every act of love just amplifies that and spreads it and shares it. And I love that what you just brought to mind is, what if love, what if God, rather than keeping track of all those sins and mistakes and whatever, is actually just looking for those moments of
That's
love.
all. Yeah, it just resonates with that.
Yeah,
It's
so beautiful.
So many teachers of mine, mentors, God is purely just simply love.
Yeah.
And that's it. So if that's the frequency.
Those are the moments you're in alignment.
Yeah, simple.
Mm.
All right, Maria, I think that's our time.
I think so. I love that. Wow,
Well,
what a beautiful ending.
And I'm so grateful for being here with you always, and being in this community. Even if you're out there and you're in a community that, you may feel like you're in a community of one. Mm-hmm. If you go look in the mirror, you'll recognize you're a community of more than that. And that may be the beginning of you allowing your worth to come out and shine. Because there are people looking for you just as much as you're looking for them.
Yeah.
So again, we are a part of Vistara School of Inner Wisdom.
Oops.
And I beat you to
Did it?
it.
Oh, you did it. Yeah,
Well, let me do this one.
you.
Usually Laura is our beautiful producer, but we wing it. We do our best. Um, sorry. And this is a school this is a community. We do have offerings from time to time and do things. A lot of things we do that, are free. That's just a part of a community because that's what we believe in deeply. And it's here to, whatever you see in me, I see in you. That kind of vibe. That's what we do. And then Laura, who's got, I won't say more than this. She's got some exciting things coming up, and we were going to do that tonight, but it was the alignment did not align for that tonight. But next time, maybe you'll hear more about what Laura has going on. But she's a beautiful coach, and she so deeply believes, especially in women and helping women be empowered, to everything we've been talking about. And she has a journey she shares about herself just as much as we have our own. And then again, like all of us, we love to pay it forward. So that is really what we're all about. So thank you all for being here. And it is truly all love, even the things that may not feel that way at the time. There is light in that somewhere. And go look in the mirror and see your light. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. I could do that more Southern, but I will spare you. That was already.
That was my favorite.
What now?
That was my favorite growing up.
I think Laura and I think it was last podcast, we talked a lot about
I
that
think
too.
I think I was
Or maybe
there.
that was,
I don't know when that was.
we talk about it a lot, but it's one of my favorites. Maria, do you want to take us out?
Yes, and also we should just give a little shout out to, and it's about to, I think, in the outro, but New Thought Media Network. Thank you so much for hosting us on this platform. I think we have.
We'll see you next time, right?
Yeah. See you next time.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
On behalf of everyone at New Thought Media Network, thank you for being a member of our virtual family. Your financial contributions help share the New Thought message with people from around the world. Please visit and contribute at www.ntmedia.org/donate. New Thought Media Network, come be you. And please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, peace and blessings. On behalf of everyone